Hello, this is Grillenheimer. This is going to be a little different. I'm going to be reading from a journal that I used to write in some years ago. And so I'm just going to have a background of something up here. And in this journal, I wrote some family stuff when I was mad at my wife and whatnot, some things that happened in the family, et cetera, people passing, a few political things, but for the most part, a lot of these are dreams, and so I might pick a few of these to read, and I'm finding them very, very interesting. They're not written well. I'm going to try to kind of reword this as I go, but this one is a really strange dream, and it turns out it's going to sound very macabre and morbid, but don't just take it at face value. It was, one, it was just a dream. Two, it's not real. Three, this is pretty old. And four, it almost sounds like a video game. Let's go. And this was written around about October 15th of 2003. So it's almost 20 years old. I'm inside a haunted house again. There are many of us, around 18 to 25 people, including me. We split up into groups. Someone accidentally wakes up Dracula. Slowly, we start bumping into less and less of our friends. Remember, we had started off with about 25 people. Well, it turns out we're acting out a play on a stage. Yet, there's a lot of water in this half-sunken old house. Areas of water start turning to blood red, like the newly colored walls where I worked at the time. Let me stop right there. There is some imagery here that's not going to make a whole lot of sense, but it's going to make sense as it did to me in the dream, or in these dreams. And so there's unusually I would try to write these down quickly. Normally when I got to work, I would write this stuff down while it was still somewhat fresh in my head. Some of these may be very sporadic, very strange, because it is, after all, just a dream. And if I mention anybody's real name, I may make up a different name or just pass it and say something, but let's just keep going. So it's like where I'm on a stage, large group of people. Somebody wakes up Dracula. There's water everywhere, supposedly. The water starts turning blood red. This is when we, as actors, this is not a play. Somehow Vlad Tepes is on our stage, but hidden somewhere. Something bites my hand when I stick it in a hole to open an underwater door. It feels like 2 of my fingers are broken. I have my hand back, but it's all bloody. Next thing I know, I'm up front at the front of the stage, narrating to the audience and explaining this is all part of the show. But I turn around and see the few last actors being chased down by this shadow and brutally killed. I jump off the stage and into the water. Okay, the water is surrounding the audience, also in water. The stage / haunted house set transforms into this huge skeletal-like skull flying ship thing, like a flying head, but it's a skull. I find it cool if it wasn't eating the people that were performing, to blood oozing everywhere. The water is warm with the blood of the people. This huge skull flying ship thing is flying around eating the rest of the survivors and the audience. At this point, the dream feels like a movie. I'm hiding behind a pillar from the face of the flying skull thing. I hear this evil laugh, and I'm thinking to myself, it must be Dracula, as it flies and eats the last of the survivors, but not me. So maybe it's eating the audience by now too. I don't know. My half-bitten hand is still somewhat bloody. I look for a weapon, thinking having a dagger or daggers would be great to have right now. I find a whip on the floor and come out of my hiding spot. The floating skull had stopped flying around. It stood motionless. I need a drink, I hear it say. I face him. It transformed, yet again, to this huge, thin, bony-like throne with half that, what was left of the floating skull, as the base. And then I say, I'm a Belmont and will kill you like my fathers before me, I shout. Sitting there, he turns his head slowly and mockingly says, Who? That's when I wake up. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Might start reading these and see what happens. And as always, have a great day.